I watched the early reviews of this, the most stupidly named car in all of GTA Online, and they didn't seem overly impressive, and I wasn't too sure whether to buy it or not. But I don't know who I was fooling. I'm a collector, of course I needed to buy it. So what follows now is a really honest review of this car, the good, the bad, the ugly, so you can decide, is it worth your cash? The Stinger TT, for that's what I'm going to call it from now on, is based of course on the Ferrari Roma, the Grand Tourer. And I wanted to spec a standard Ferrari Roma, so I used the configurator which you can see on the top left, and you're seeing my final configuration, which is the car in Abu Dhabi blue with a Kramer interior, leaving some of it black. I think it looks absolutely superb on the configurator. I will share the code later when we come to the build, and I think it looks wonderful in the game. I don't always make a massive deal of the price, but bear in mind that this car is about $2.5 million once you've upgraded it as the standard car, or about $4 million once you've updated it as HSW, so it's not an inconsiderable amount of cash. And if you're not a regular viewer, please be aware I play on PC, so I cannot do an HSW upgrade. Whilst my character breaks every traffic law in Los Santos, let's talk firstly about the looks of the car. It's not, of course, an exact dead ringer for the Roma. They've had to change a few things, but they haven't changed a lot. It comes down to little vents and things here and there. The removal of the headlights and making them into air scoops, and I don't mind that one because in the daytime you can't even tell that they've done it. So absolutely lovely, lovely looks. It's as close as we're ever going to get to the real world one. But I did notice one thing as I was driving it, and I thought, it's a bit big. Specifically, it felt very wide. Well, I know cars are getting wider these days, but it didn't seem quite right. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later as well. I've got the facts and the figures on the size of this car for you. If we just ignore that for the moment and we'll call it presence, not size, it just looks absolutely fantastic. My reasoning for this build that I've done here is I think it's a Grand Tourer. I don't want to go really bright colours and black wheels, etc. I wanted a unique but sensible colour. Then I wanted the chrome on the wheels and the exhaust, etc. to contrast that. I think if you own this car, it's fair to say you've probably got some much wilder sports cars in your garage, and they can have the bright greens, the yellows, the reds, and so on and so forth. Obviously I'm going to have to take this on track and compare it to its arch rival, but before we do that, driving it around town, there's something I noticed straight away. The arch rival is of course the Itali GTO, and when you drive that car, the best way to describe it is a little bit of a fairground ride. There's a lot of high revving noise, some really good acceleration, but every little bump will deflect the car such that all the time you think you're going to lose control, but generally you don't, and it's a hugely fun and exciting way to get through town. Now, despite the little slide you just saw there, and the car is apt to do that now and again when pushed, apart from those, this car is much smoother driving it through the town. It's a much more measured car, so perhaps feels not quite as exciting. Well, no, it does not feel as exciting as the GTO. And there we go again, you can lose the back. Moving on to some track work, I've put it up against the Itali GTO. Both these cars are fully maxed on the performance, and I have put a spoiler on the Roma so as to make it fair. Now you can see by watching, not only is the GTO faster, but it's a very different driving experience. The Roma is just going over the pavements, that's sidewalks in American, very, very smoothly, and it's riding all the bumps without a problem. It's making generally a very easy job of it, although it will flick the tail out just now and again. The GTO is hopping, bumping, messing about, always looking like it's going to leave the track, and it is in fact harder to get a consistent lap with the GTO, but when you do that lap, it's faster and more fun. So to be honest, a really good driving experience there from the Stinger TT, but overall, whilst it's smooth, fast and efficient, it won't be a race winner unless everybody driving their GTOs just has no clue what they're doing. But it does mean that when you're driving it through the town or through the countryside, as we're about to do, You will have a very faithful, smooth riding and fun car to drive. Just now and again the back will come out a bit more than you expected. Of course, I'm talking now on PC and the old gen, because if you're on next gen and you're willing to spend even more money, then you can get the HSW version. I've already seen on somebody else's review, I think it was Bruffy, that this has an insanely high top speed. I think it's 168 miles an hour as HSW, and it was already 132 as the normal one. So very, very fast car as HSW. I'm not sure where that leaves it in the rankings for races, and I know that HSW is sometimes disabled. But I think it's fair to say that if you buy this on a next-gen console, you will be spending the extra for the HSW. How much you enjoy the handling of this car will really depend on the sort of cars you like in the game. If you love the bucking Bronco style of the Itali GTO, you're going to find this, I'll be honest, a bit boring. But what if you like the Thrax, the Bugatti Divo? The way that it just sticks to the road, it's just very imperious, very solid, very predictable, very easy to drive fast. Well, if you like that, I think you'll like this more. This car is just that little bit more exciting than something like that, because it will throw the back out now and again. But ultimately, definitely a lot easier than the GTO. When it comes to dimensions, I have them here from automobiledimensions.com, and you can see the two cars are remarkably similar in size in real life. But have a look at them here in the agency where we have tiles on the floor. When I count the number of tiles for width, I get about 8.5 tiles wide for the Roma and 7.5 tiles wide for the Superfast, but there's only supposed to be 3mm in it. They're supposed to be the same length, but here again the Roma is using up about half a tile more. So if we take the GTO being the correct scale, then this Stinger TT is definitely too big anyway, but overall, specifically, it is very much wider than the real car. And for me, this is the only major negative with the looks of the vehicle. Moving on then to a few words about the build, you can screenshot this, or I'll turn it into a PDF as well and pop it on the Discord for you. If, like me, you want to build a real Roma, then use the Ferrari configurator first. It's down below. Always great fun, of course. And that's how I came up with the Abu Dhabi blue that I wanted, which is a crew colour, so I'll warn you about that. Crew colours are very easy. I'll leave a link below on how to do them. You can stay in your own crew, in fact, to do the crew colour. But in case you don't want to, take inspiration from the configurator. There's a lot of colours there. Competition suspension, I think, is maybe half an inch too low. I don't know, but I thought it looked good. Now, why have I gone for those wheels? If you go for the standard wheels on the car, you'll see they're much closer to the Roma wheels than anything else you can get in the game. But they are that very, very dull alloy colour in the game, which I just really hate. And I wanted a chrome wheel. I even picked a chrome wheel on the configurator. So I think these chrome Mercy wheels are close enough, and they much more give the look that I wanted. I think I picked a different colour brake caliper, but actually you can only have red in the game, and red is one of the real options, so no issues there. Now, if you want to build something really mad, there is the customization available, and thankfully for you, also Mansory have come up with some really mad versions for your inspiration. What I'm going to do is a second video within the next few days, and I'm going to build 2 of the Mansory cars for you, so if you want something mad, maybe hold out for that video. I normally finish, of course, with the star ratings for looks, driving, value for money, but this car is going to be different things for different people. I will go straight in at 5 stars for looks. It is too big, but if you can overlook that, 5 stars for looks any day, that's easy. When it comes to driving, of course it is down to the person. It is not competitive in its class, so it would never be more than 4 stars. But I think it's a very pleasant drive, and there's just enough back out experience merging with the ability to deal with bumps to make it fun. And of course we have a great top speed with good acceleration and braking. So I think it is a great driving car, but it is not a really exciting car in the vein of the GTO. So what do you want in the driving? You'll have to decide. When it comes to value for money, it's an expensive car, and if you go HSW, it's a stupidly expensive car. Again, only you can decide. Now, if you're a collector like I am, you're going to find a spot for this in your GT collection, even if you never drive the car. So, value for money doesn't really matter when you're a collector. You just buy it and you stick it in the collection, although try and find a spot where it doesn't look too big. The non-collector, well, it does take Amani tech, so like the Monstrosity, if you want an HSW Amani tech vehicle, then this could be the one for you. But at $4 million, that's a lot of money to put all that together. So if you're not really that keen on, hey, I've got my Ferrari Roma, but more just, hey, look at my Amani tech sports car, you might be finding that this is actually quite an easy skip for you. I hope there's been enough information here to help you decide whether you want this car or not. I'd love to know down below if you're buying it what you think, especially any HSW comments that other people would find useful that I couldn't really talk about. If you could click the like button, it would mean so much to me. Every single click of that button makes a huge difference to me trying to grow the channel. And otherwise, and as always, thank you so much for watching.